Some time ago I made this chess set for my granddaughter, and now I've made a set of drafts out of brass and aluminium to go with that chess set. But I'd like to make a box for them, and so I'm going to use this bit of timber, and it looks like if I stack them up in threes, that'll be the go. So just rough measurement, 125 by 65. That should do the trick. This is a very simple box and only requires a bandsaw and a sander. And no plans are required, I'm just making it up as I go along. So the first step is just to mark out the rough outside of what the box is going to be. And while it isn't required, a combination square is a useful way of measuring onto timber. I'm going to be cutting out the insides of this bit of wood and just leaving the outsides. So I'm just getting a bit of an idea of how thick to make those walls. I'm just using my cheap hobby bandsaw to cut out the outside. And while I'm cutting it, I'm thinking, it'd be nice if this box wasn't just a plain rectangle. It needs to be something a little bit more interesting. So it's back to the bench. Do the outsides and then I just use a compass to do a curve on both ends. Okay, I've got my box shape done. Time to go back to the bandsaw. Before I cut the inside out, I'm just double checking that these are going to fit fine. And yes, they do, with a little bit to spare. Make them easier to get in and out. Now, because I'm only using the bandsaw for this job, I've actually got to cut through the side. Now if I start by cutting through with the grain on one edge, then I can eventually cut out the whole of the inside. It takes a bit of manoeuvring, and it depends on what sort of bandsaw you got as to how much manoeuvring you need to do, but you can eventually cut out bits that will allow you to eventually cut to the line. There we go, the inside's cut out, but as you can see, we've got something to fix. So I just use wood glue, but I'm also going to use some super glue. What this allows is that the wood glue is a lot stronger than super glue, but the super glue allows me to basically keep working without having to wait too long because the super glue will hold. So once I've got the wood glue on, I just use some cheap super glue and put some dobs on and then clamp it, and within a minute or two I can then go to the next step. The wood glue is not dry, but the super glue is holding the piece together. So now I can do some inside sanding. I really don't enjoy sanding, but sanding makes the difference between a crap looking job and a really professional looking one. So it's worth paying attention to the detail. Next step is to make the lid, and the first thing is to make the insert or the inside part of the lid because it's a two-part. And so I'm going to just use this 3mm ply for that. And so it's a simple matter of just tracing around the inside and then cutting that out, and that'll be the inside bit of the lid. And because nothing on this box will be completely symmetrical, I'm just marking 2 points so that I know which way it goes back again. I haven't cut to the line, I've left a bit. That's because I want to have it perfectly to the line and fitting perfectly inside the box. So over to the sander, and I'll sand down towards the line, just sneaking up towards the line, checking the fit, giving it a little bit more of a sand, checking the fit until it's totally perfect. I'm just marking again the 2 pieces so that I know which way they go back together. I've got another offcut that was left over from a previous job, and I'm using that for the top of the lid. And so again, it's just a simple matter of tracing around the outside and cutting it out. Again, I'm not cutting to the line, I'm just leaving a little bit outside the line. Now, this next step is completely unnecessary for a simple wooden box, but because I have a scroll saw, I'm going to just freehand write on the front of the box drafts, because drafts is the English version of the American checkers, and because we're not American, I'm using the word drafts. Over on the drill press, I'm just drilling out some pilot holes for the blade of the scroll saw to go into so that I can cut out the letters. As I said, this is an unnecessary step for a simple box, but because I've got the tools, I may as well use them, and it just adds that extra little bit of bling to the box. As you can see, I haven't completely cut out the enclosed letters like the D and the A, etc. I've left a gap so that I don't lose the insides of it. Okay, so there it is finished. Now we can go back to the bench, give it a bit of a sand, and then it's ready to glue the 2 pieces together. So I've got that inside piece just sitting there in the box, and I'll put some glue around the outside. I'm going to use super glue on this as well. Squeeze the two pieces together, and then I can lift the centre off and wipe off any excess. With the lid done, it's just a matter of repeat the exercise for the base. And again, just tracing around the outside, cut it out on the bandsaw with a little bit left over, and once cut out, I can glue the base to the body. Now this is why I didn't cut to the line on the base and the lid, because with everything together I can now sand the whole box, top, bottom and middle, to make them all fit perfectly together. Look at that, beautiful. Everything fitting perfectly together. Now for one final sand, just to get the edges off after sanding on the sanding disc. And then it's time to give it some sort of coat. I'm choosing to use shellac. The shellac I'm using is just the pure shellac flakes with methylated spirits. Now, this is a bit of an involved process because you have to put numbers of layers on. So I put about 3 layers on, and then I use some 000 steel wool to give it a bit of a sand, and then more layers until I'm happy with the result. But it would be easier just to give it a single coat of some sort of oil, like orange oil or something like that. Once I've given it a coat with the brush, then I use a rag and rub the shellac in. The steel wool takes all those little fibres off and makes the box nice and smooth again, because as the shellac dries, all the little fibres stand up and go hard, and now I'm just smoothing it off again. And then I'll put some more coats on until I'm happy with the final result. A final rub over with a rag, and it looks nice and sort of satiny shiny. So let's stack the box and make sure that everything still fits. Yep, they fit nicely, and there's a little bit of space to make it easy to get them in and out, and of course the lid fits perfectly. This is a very simple way of making a box, but the end result is very satisfying.